of Ladies' Night during COVID-19. So as many of you know, the church will be opening up again in June. So that means our stint of weekly Ladies' Night tapings will be over. So at the end of this, we'll tell you what's next for Ladies' Night, but this is our last one. So we have a special guest.
It's a boy.
Not a lady.
No.
I'm Pastor BJ Fouts. I'm the pastor at St. John, for those of you who are watching Ladies' Night from far, far away. And we've appreciated all of our viewers, those of our congregation and those who are far away. So I wanted to sit on Ladies' Night tonight simply because they get the most views, and I feel like I need to be part of that.
Winning.
No, not that we're competing for views or anything like that. But
That's what the losers always say.
really, I wanted to be here and just ask some of the ladies some questions for you guys, as you guys have been viewing and watching them and hearing some of what they've been enduring for this project that we have appreciated. I'm sure you've appreciated it also. And so I'm going to ask them some questions, and hopefully they remember to talk to you and not me, but if not, it's fine. Anyway, so the first question, ladies, what was going through your mind when Pastor called and said, hey, we want you to film a weekly show for our congregation during COVID?
I vividly remember this phone call, actually. I get a phone call and says, you want to do something really cool? And I was like, okay. And you pitched the idea to me, and I thought this will take about 3 weeks, and that'll be great. 12 weeks later, here we are. But I think that was my first thought, and I was like, yeah, I can talk about some things. I didn't think it was gonna be what it became, which is pretty awesome, but it's kind of like at the end of a show when it ends and you think, wow, we've grown up so much since the first episode.
Look at all that character development.
Really.
You've had quite a character arc.
Yes, I have.
Even letting me take your seat.
I know, that
Usually
was-
you're on this side, I think I
am.
remember.
Yes, that is
So,
correct. I am the left-handed lady.
Okay, so thank you for letting me sit in your spot.
Anything for you. You're the one in charge.
All right. Other responses?
I didn't get a call from you only because my husband told me about it. So you guys were pitching ideas in your office, I'm assuming. And then he came home and he was like, hey, you're doing this. And I said, okay. So I really, not
He
that
didn't
I.
ask, he just told
yeah,
you.
he just told me. I didn't really have a choice.
That's what we did
But I didn't argue. I said, cool, sounds fun. And so I just went with it. So,
Yeah.
and I'm glad that I did. So.
Yeah, I had a little bit of a trepidation. This is not my comfort zone at all. But it's been a lot of fun. It's been fun to explore doing stuff like this. You see it all the time, but you think, oh,
Right.
I'm not cool enough or whatever to do that. So when you asked at first, I was like, oh, I don't know, but I'm really glad I did it. So
You did such a good job too. Like
Yeah.
you were the leader.
You were the leader. You're the Babysitter's Club.
Yeah.
Maybe you shouldn't tell Heather you were asked. Maybe you should have told her I told you to do it. She didn't get asked.
It's okay. I'm not
Yeah.
jealous.
So as you went through this 12 episodes, this is episode 12 you said?
Yes.
So this is our 12th episode. What has been some of the highlights for you of your season of Ladies' Night?
The wedding episode is by far our best.
Well, okay, so
That was
it's
a
just
good
like
one.
the preparation of that. Like I
Yes,
think
yeah.
we talked about, like we built it up and we were like, this is gonna be huge, and then we did nothing that whole week leading up to it. And then the day that we were gonna tape it, we were like texting back and forth.
Yeah.
And like, okay, we need this and we need this. And look, I went home and I was like, I have 3 boxes from my wedding that I have all these props that we can use. And so like pulling out all these props and taking pictures and then them
Yeah.
saying, yeah, bring that, bring that, bring
I was
that.
washing a dress in my sink, hoping it would dry in time so I could wear it.
And it didn't.
It didn't. And I'm like soaking something in OxyClean that's 4 years old, and it's like, what is the point of this? Ladies' Night Wedding Edition.
No.
That was fun,
Yeah.
and it was giggly, and it was all things wedding.
Yeah, it's
So,
good.
I also liked the social media one, the traps of social media. I think partly because we were in a totally different location, so we were in the balcony by the organ, so that was just like a different film setting, I guess. But yeah, we had really good discussion about like examples of how you can get trapped on
Yeah.
social media. problems with social media, how you can get sucked into it. So I kind of liked that episode. And Marion, like, that was her first viewing, you know, to the world, as opposed to just pictures on Facebook that people could see. So
She was a champ that day.
Yeah, every time she just, yeah, she was great. She loved the newborn stage when they
Yeah.
sleep for so long.
for most of the time.
Yeah. I would say one of my favorites was Easter, and like,
Oh,
so
yeah.
so Cassie, of course, talked about all these cartoons.
Right.
yes.
Oh yeah, that's another
And
one where we
so
were like,
it was just so much fun to, like, I didn't know that there was Easter, but then they like correlated with like Christmas, like your
Yeah.
popular
Yeah.
Christmas. Like, how did I not know there were Easter versions
of all
I
these
say.
of
cartoons
this? So,
and stuff.
so yes, so Cassie was giving us the links, and so we were watching them on YouTube, and that was a
Yeah.
lot of fun. I
Yeah.
really enjoyed that.
like
And then
for
we got
days
to,
after we were watching those, and then talking, like texting back and forth about how, like, oh
And
my
other-
goodness, that cartoon was so great.
And other Easter movies we thought of as time went on.
Yeah, I know. Yeah.
and just some of the jingles of those songs that you could not get
Yeah.
by with nowadays. And I'm
Right.
like, whoa. So that was great. I thought that was so much fun.
Can I
So-
say?
So where is the Yukon Cornelius of the Easter story? Yukon Cornelius, the guy from, is it Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer, the
can't
prospector
remember.
who's, or is it Frosty the Snowman?
I know
don't
what you're
remember.
talking about.
I can't remember
Does he
either.
show up in any of the Easter cartoons?
No, I don't
so.
say his
But there
specific
was-
character.
Wasn't there a Bigfoot that comes?
There's like a, there's like a
Yeah.
monster of sorts that shows up.
So the
And
Summer Yeti.
Yeah,
Yeah,
and then the,
kinda.
you have the, read my
It's
mind,
been-
ladies,
Easter,
come on.
Easter's been a while.
It's been a while, but there's that, anyway, moving
The
on.
one that got me, the one that got me was the town that was all kids.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah,
I was like,
that makes logical sense.
It's fine. They can take care of themselves. I can definitely picture Eliza and Silas living in that town.
So
It's Lord of the Flies, the Easter version.
And they had a nice little town, and you know, it was all
Yeah.
running just well, just the kids. So
Yep.
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, those were fun. That was fun.
yeah.
Thinking through the wedding episode, I think is when I got more comments about than any of the others.
That's because it was the best.
And so you mentioned that kind of came together, some leading up to it, and then day of flurry of text messages. But so whose idea was it? How did it really come to pass that we're going to break out the wedding stuff?
We were talking. It was it during one of the episodes, or was it during, like, after filming where we were
You
talking?
talked about your engagement.
Right, and I
we
mentioned
said, we need to know this story.
Yeah.
of how I got engaged.
Yes.
And so
Yes.
Jessica said, let's do a wedding episode.
Yeah.
Right.
And then Natasha Anand sent us a picture of the girls from Friends, all in those wedding
And
dresses.
so then we
and
were
said,
like, we need to
Yeah.
make this
this
bigger.
episode
That's
better
right.
be like this. This is what I'm expecting.
Right.
Because I said it's going to be big,
Right.
which I think I say every week at the end of the episode. And
Yes,
so
yeah.
Natasha kind of springboarded, and
Us-
then
yeah.
here we are.
To
Yeah.
Props to set the scene. Yeah.
Gotta set the stage to engage. I mean, I don't,
It was a very fun episode. I'll have to say, even as the editor putting it a little bit together for that one, it was fun to watch. And I did watch a lot of your episodes. I'll just be honest and confess. But
He's a
mostly,
better spouse than I am.
I mean, I watched all the Man Night Mondays, and I don't know if Steven watched any of these. I mean, he pieced together some
Right,
stuff too.
right.
So, like, he could tell me how long they were, because we would go for 50 minutes at a time, and I would say, I'm sorry, we just like to talk. Like,
it's how women work.
That's all right.
you did enjoy comparing episode lengths from Man Up to Ladies Night. So anyway, we didn't invite him to sit in tonight, so
that's fine.
it's fine. We don't need his opinion, right?
It would have been interesting to have them
Oh,
all
yeah.
us together.
We
though.
A crossover episode.
We should
it's
totally
gonna be
do
big.
that. We should totally do that. That would
If we
be
could
funny.
Nate will just go, yup.
The problem would be is that it would be the men just kind of sitting here and the ladies talking.
No, we will coax you into answering.
We will
things and
put you in our
contributing.
We
timeline.
could do like the newlywed game.
The newlywed game.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, that'd be fun. Who could host it? Who could-
Oh.
Sherry.
Sherry can be the host of the newlywed game.
Anyway,
It's going to happen.
Steven, edit this last like 3 minutes
No,
out, please.
no. It's
I'm
going
so
to
excited.
happen.
We're so winning the newlywed game.
I don't know. Steven's pretty competitive.
That's true.
Yeah, he'd probably start kicking you if you.
It's like that Boy Meets World episode. What's Aaron's favorite fish? Penguin! Bam! It's spelled Pengwin. Like, what? Anyway.
So this is how we make our episodes kind of really.
I understand. Yeah, I feel like this one may be 2.5 hours. This is a feature-length film. So next question would be, what's been the most challenging episode to put together, or a part of filming for Ladies Night? If you don't have one episode, if you've got just a whole series of challenges, what's been your biggest challenge?
When you have to shower because you haven't showered in 2 days. And you decide.
That was literally like the
That was, like-
motivation to.
There'd be days I'm like, okay, this is 4-day hair, and it can't go online. You gotta do this, Cassie. And it's like the Rocky music is playing in the background as I like turn the shower on.
I'd put it off all day, and then it'd be like 4 o'clock, 5:30. I'm like, I have to get to church in a half hour. Like, I gotta go.
And
But it was
maybe, like-
different for you because like you were like, okay, I'm still going to the library.
Yeah,
I'm still
Yeah, man.
Yes.
No, man. I would say getting ready.
Well, and like branching off of that, just making sure that my husband would get home so
Yes.
that he could watch the kids, and then I could come over and not
Yeah.
worry about leaving them alone or something, which I would never do.
Right.
So I don't know, other challenges.
I don't know if there was an episode that was particularly like hard. Sometimes it was hard to think about how you wanted other people to see it, because sometimes
Yeah.
you know you say things and people don't take it the way
Mhm.
you mean for it to be taken.
Right.
So making sure that I didn't say anything that was false doctrine also was always a fear of mine. Like I did a lot of, it was basically a Bible study.
Well, and like
I was watching.
I was like,
Well, and like
gotta
we
make
would,
sure.
we would coordinate a little bit like what verses we wanted to talk about. So like
Too much crossover.
yeah,
I think.
and not to say like we were ever like, oh, you took my verse, but it was like just making sure that when we picked out our verses, we weren't taking someone else's verse.
Yeah.
So
I think a lot for me is just putting myself out there. I'm more of a introvert, shy kind of person, so it was like, okay, I'm great one-on-one, but you put, thinking, wow, there are a lot of people watching this,
Right.
which is great. So a lot of you know a lot more about me than I'll probably ever have known about me. So I mean, it's fun. And he can attest to this. Like, I don't watch it. I never go back and rewatch what they
see,
put
and
out.
I do. Like I'm just like I want to know what we talked about because it flies by so fast,
Yeah.
and we don't realize. Like I don't realize that it's gone. Oh, 50 minutes has gone by. Oh man,
Yeah.
like
Right.
I don't
Yes.
realize that. And so I'm like, I don't remember all the stuff we talked about. Like I remember moments, but so that's why I go back and listen to it. I at least listen to it. I don't like sit there and like watch.
Right.
But like I'll be
Yes.
washing the dishes
Yeah.
or I'll be folding laundry and stuff like
Yep.
that. And like I just like to. I don't know. I like to hear what we talked about.
Yeah, I just don't, I don't know. There's just something about hearing my voice and I'm like, oh.
Ugh, I hate
I'm like,
it.
oh, is this where I misspoke here? Or, yeah, I always think about that stuff afterwards. So like, I'm much more, I don't know, hard on myself afterwards. Like, oh, I didn't mean to say it that way. Or because before, kind of like what we said, the prep, like usually I'm at the library, but all day I'm thinking about, okay, this is the point I want to make, or this, and then thinking, make sure you're not doctrinally
Yeah.
Yeah.
off, and you're like, okay, I think this is the right way. I could say this without it. But like you said too, there's people out there who might take it wrong, or, and you don't want to hurt anyone's feelings, and you want to make sure it is for everyone. And so yeah, I would think that through afterwards, like, okay. And there were times, thankfully we did our after dinner dates, so he would hear sometimes like, oh, I wish I had said that, or
I think the first episode, now that I'm thinking about it, like I was
Well,
so
yeah.
nervous that day. And I was like, I don't know what to do. Where should I look? What should I do?
yeah.
I think it, like, over the episodes that we did, like, that first episode, when you watch, like, I actually went back today, and I didn't
You're a
listen
super
to,
fan,
I
Heather.
didn't listen to the, I know, I'm like,
binge watched Ladies Night today?
No, so I didn't binge watch it, but I went to each of them just to start it, to see, like,
Yeah,
what we
how we
talked about each
changed.
time and how we changed and interacted with each other. And that first one's a little bit stiff because
Yeah.
I think
Like
we're
all
just like
pilot episodes?
we're not like all pilot episodes are.
We
in a
literally did make a
series.
series.
Season
Yeah,
2
I
coming
know.
soon. but I think that's kind of why I wanted to kind of think about like how it's changed and over the time, because 12 episodes, like that's 3 months.
Yeah.
That's 3 months. And so like I don't know, it was really interesting
I
to
bet.
go back and like just look, especially like, okay, like, were we in here every time? No, we were taped here, we
Yeah.
taped at the library, we taped in the balcony.
We were in-
and
Right
The
after
house.
Marion was born,
Yeah, we were at my house once.
Yeah.
Yeah, talk about
yeah.
changes from the beginning. I mean, yeah, you've had a
I
another
know.
child to.
Yeah, I guess uncomfortable, the first 2 weeks were uncomfortable because I was pregnant, so.
That's a lot, yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
It is crazy.
That's crazy to think about your life. How much, wow.
I know.
Whoa.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oof.
So you tackled some very tough topics. And some were fun. The wedding episode was fun. Talking about the engagement stories, the social media conversation. You know, some tough topics you talked about. And you mentioned being vulnerable. And as you ladies have kind of really just been yourself. I know each of you, and so you have been yourself in the tapings I've seen. But how much of a challenge was that, just to open up the book for anybody on the internet? Not to freak you out, right? But you know. And
Yeah, there's a
it's-
reason I didn't share it on Facebook. Because I did not.
See, and I was like, let's share this every week, partly because I wanted to make sure my mom could find the link and my
Yes,
mother-in-law
yeah.
could find the link and
Yeah.
Heidi could find, like,
Yeah.
yeah. I don't know. It's almost like when we were taping, there was a part of me that forgot we were being
Yeah.
recorded.
Yeah, it's,
So for it to look genuine, it was genuine because
Yeah.
half the time I just felt like I was sitting with friends talking. So
Yeah.
I don't know.
the magic of TV.
I know.
basically.
Yeah.
We're a sitcom.
I know.
Which one of you is Phoebe? Oh no. Don't-
So I'm the Rachel. Shoddy. We're the same anagram type. Type 3. But yeah, vulnerability's never been a strength of mine, and that's always been something people have said. But I feel like eventually I was like, okay, no, you knew what you were gonna say. I practiced it while I played my Rocky music in the shower, so I knew kind of what my idea was. But yeah, I mean, there was some vulnerability. Like I said, I don't usually share it. I don't really want my extended family seeing this. Like, I don't need that happening, and there's certain things that I do keep private, and social media has caused me to think about those things, and
Okay.
Yeah, I think one of the benefits, hopefully, that will come afterwards, depending on how many people watched, I don't know. But like, I hope that you all know that you can approach us. Like,
Yeah.
we're happy to talk about the things that we talked about. And hopefully that'll break down some of those. I know for me, who's a little bit on the shyer side, like, maybe it'll give us something to talk about, and everything. So hopefully it'll build some relationships as well, and hopefully just help us to feel more connected into the church in the long run. So
I also think being a teacher has made me realize that I can talk about anything and feel uncomfortable, and it's not
Yeah.
as bad as I think it
Right.
is.
that's true.
Like, I've had to teach sex ed before.
I have not, thank goodness.
That is true, yes. Especially when you teach middle schoolers.
Oh,
There's-
yeah.
You kind of get used to just like whatever happens, happens.
Like, and I mean, I've been asked some pretty interesting questions about the female anatomy. We'll leave it at that. But,
I'm really it's kind of awkward as a guy being a ladies' night. Let's just
I
cut
stopped.
that. We're
I don't
gonna
understand
change
why.
directions. So, what's
We've got
been?
daughters. It's okay.
I have 3 daughters. It's true. What's been the most surprising thing you've learned about one of your co-hosts?
I didn't realize, like, with Jessica, like when with friendships, like you're the type that you feel like you need to be pursued to be in a friendship. So like I actually appreciated hearing that, because now I'm like, I'm gonna invite Jessica over for supper sometime, or just to hang out, because with little kids it's hard to like be thinking of how can I connect with people different times, and so like to know that you're the type of person that would be pursued in a friendship, like it makes me more aware of like I want to hang out with you, and so like finding those opportunities and letting you know that I want to hang out with
Right.
you. So
I think it was the post-wedding episode, we talked about like things we struggle with, and I don't know if it's like a struggle, but Heather stated that she and Steven are bad at like giving their kids to babysitters.
Yeah.
And so Nate and I were like, we need to be better about getting Silas and Eliza, and so we took them to Kelsey's house because she was a real adult. And
But yeah, it was
But,
funny
like,
because
I was like, we're gonna do this, because we talked about it before Marion was born. It's like, okay, one day we're gonna
Yeah.
take Silas and Eliza for Stephen and Heather, and I was like, okay. And then it was like, they're both potty trained, right? I was like, no, they're not. And it's like, never mind. And so I was like, I came home, I was like, we're doing this, we're gonna take them to Kelsey's. And he was
And
like,
it's funny because when you texted me that and Steven was like, oh, that's nice. And I go, I know why they did it. I know why she texted me and said, let's take the kids because I mentioned it on ladies' night.
but it was something that, like, something Nate and I have talked about, like, oh, we should
Right.
just do that for Stephen and Heather, that'd be nice to do. Like, we get along great with Silas and Eliza.
Yeah.
They're basically our alter egos sometimes. And so I was like, we can take the kids, like, we can take them and go do something.
Yeah.
And so I think that was something that I never, and like, Heather, I don't want you to like feel like special, but like, we always talk about what great parents you and Steven are. Like, Nate's always like, did you see how they did that? We went over for game night and you put your 2 kids to bed without missing a turn. And Nate and I were like, how? How
I
did they
remember
do
that. Nate
that?
was like, where did the kids go? And we're like, they're in bed.
And Nate and I drove home, we're like, whoa, like, just mind blown. So to hear you say something like, this is something we struggle with, Nate and I are like, and we will help with that. That is something we can do. And so I think that was something I learned,
Appreciate that.
that Steve and Heather are human, even though we didn't think they were until that moment.
Right. We're definitely human and sinful.
And you put your kids to bed without missing turns in games. We were just like, whoa. Like, I'll still never forget, we like drove home and he's like, they put their kids to bed and they didn't miss a turn or hold up the game.
That is impressive.
It was very impressive.
That's impressive. I think for me, I've learned a lot about TV shows that I would have never thought of before. Like, I was actually on Netflix, like, oh, that's the one they were talking
Are you talking
about.
about Gilmore Girls? You should really watch
You
that.
really need to.
You really
I've
should.
already, since COVID, I'm almost made it through the whole series again.
Is it on Netflix now?
Yes, it is. And you can watch A Year in a Life, but if you want to wait, we can all watch it together.
Yeah.
So it was the one Outer Banks. That was the
Oh,
one.
that was
I saw
good.
that one the other day.
Yeah,
I was
that
like,
one.
oh.
If you want to be afraid, don't watch it when it's dark outside.
So I have a whole new watch list now, thanks to co-host. So
That's fine with me.
I felt, and I have to say, last week, so I felt so like in step when Heather said she watched Sweet Magnolia. I was like, oh,
I know.
I saw that.
If you haven't watched that,
It's
you
on my
should.
list. I gotta get
Yeah.
through Fuller House though.
Like,
It was
I'm
so
pretty sure I
funny
could
to
have gotten through it all in one. Like, there's 10 episodes, so our season is longer than Sweet Magnolia's season. But I mean, I could have
That's-
gotten it through a whole
Yes,
day
yeah,
if
it
I
was
could have
good.
just binged it all. But then I had to take care of kids and helped Steven with stuff. And
I just felt like I was actually kind of in the cool crowd. I'm like, whoa.
You are cool.
you are cool.
I saw that. I was like,
You can sit with
whoa.
us.
There's a TV show that they're talking about that I've actually
Yeah.
watched.
It is really
It's
good.
so bad. Yeah. I watch a lot of British.
So do I. It's always says shows that take place in London. And it's like, why is this a thing in our Netflix?
I have Acorn TV. Sometimes I go between Acorn TV and BritBox, and yeah, so
I love that about you.
that's one of my.
Someday we're gonna figure out why we're paying so many different TV subscriptions, but
It's okay. We
It's one of
do
those things.
too.
I'm glad that my husband doesn't always see the bill, so I'm like, okay, he doesn't know.
whatever makes you happy, dear.
Right answer.
Good job.
So actually, I'm in therapy today. That's what. So, anyway, from either just COVID-19 in general, or from kind of the things you guys have talked about at Ladies' Night, what is something that you have kind of become part of your routine now that you hope stays a part of your life when we move forward?
So I think I mentioned this, I don't know if it was during one of the recordings or not, but over the last month I've been FaceTiming with my grandma because she's stuck in her assisted living. And actually it's a funny story. So she went outside and she was like outside the door, and my parents and aunt and uncle visited her on Sunday this last week. But they were a little bit farther away from the door, but because she was outside with them, she's been quarantined for 2 weeks in her room.
Oh.
But anyway, so I've been FaceTiming her, and so I want to try to keep that up just because I don't get to visit her a lot. I'm sure there's other things. Let me think. Somebody else say something.
I am married to my career. And Nate knew that when he met me. And we talk about it a lot because he was always like, I'm always the second person in your life to education. But without actually having kids there, you can actually do all your work without working on the weekends.
Right.
And so my new goal is to try to not work on the weekends after COVID, because I was actually able to spend time with my husband
Right.
and not spend it making him do things in my classroom. 'Cause, let's be real. That's what it is. I'm like, hey, Nate, you want to talk about an idea I have? He's like, no, I don't want to talk about some idea you have. I'm like, no, it's going to be really awesome, and I think you should talk to me about this. So I think that's something and I think that was always hard for me, because when you are a first-year teacher, you spend a lot of time.
Right.
And when I was a single teacher and I had nothing
Oh,
to
yeah.
do, what else are you going
Might
to do
as
other than hang
well.
out at school?
Right.
And so, I mean, I would spend every day at school if I could. Before I met Nate, and Nate kind of stopped me when we started dating. He's like, you should probably like hang out with me. And I was like, you want to hang out in my classroom? And he's like, no. And so I think that's something I'm going to try to. I mean, it might mean longer nights, which is going to be hard because I tap out about 2, and school goes till 3:10. So that last hour is really hard.
You'll readjust, it'll be okay.
But I think that's something that I'm going to try to do, because I think it was nice for Nate and I to like actually do. Granted, we just watched TV together. But I wasn't on my computer, I wasn't like not actually listening to him or asking him questions about whatever I was trying to figure out.
That's awesome.
I probably will spend more time outside, because I think during the school year, I mean, the summer's different, but during the school year, a lot of times, you get home and instead of spending time outside with family, you are catching up on schoolwork that you haven't done at school, or you're watching a TV show because you don't want to think about things, and so you just want to kind of like check out. But over the last like 3 or 4 weeks, when the weather's nice, when it's not raining, we've been doing a lot of like biking. I think
You've been biking a lot this COVID.
well, and I have my bike. My bike is really old. I think I got it when I was 15 or 16. But I'm pretty sure I've ridden my bike more in the last 5 or 6 weeks than I ever did on the farm, ever. And so I think like with biking and like spending time gardening, I know a lot of people have like picked up that hobby just because it's something to do and you can be in your own lawn outside, rather than inside. So we've done a lot of gardening. Steven should stop going to Menards or Earl Mace, because every time he goes, he gets a new thing to plant. So we're putting a lot of money into our landscaping or something. I don't know. But, so that'd be another thing.
On Man on Monday, we're gonna have the Lawn of the Week competition, so he's just getting prepared.
Oh, yes, I
That's
heard all
probably-
about
yeah.
this. Turf Grass Nate's real excited, even though he doesn't.
So fun. I think for me, one thing that I have kind of already started taking, it kind of goes with that whole pursuing thing, and that has really been, I think especially since becoming a pastor's wife, and especially having to, once we moved here, before then it took me a while to make really good friendships, but at the same time, like, it's funny because I was thinking in my head, I'm like, all right, Jessica, like, flip the script a little bit and try to pursue a friendship with someone else. And so it's kind of, unfortunately, COVID-19 is not a good time to do that. But
But it's a
already-
great time to make goals.
It is. And so I do have, some friends that I would like to be friends with, some acquaintances. I'm like, oh, we could, have a deeper relationship and stuff. And so that is one of my goals after this is over, is to actually pursue that. I think the other thing for us especially has been just the family time. Like, it's been so nice to have time to play more board games, more just spending time with our kids. And our son, actually, it's almost annoying, which I feel terrible about, that almost every night after dinner, okay, what are we gonna do now? Like, he's just expecting now that we are doing a family thing. And it's really nice, except for, when I get home from work, because I get home after 6, I'm like, I just really wanna check out right now. I don't really wanna do anything. And unfortunately, we've fallen back into that pattern a bit. But just the other night, like, we had some time and we played Settlers of Catan, and so it's just making time for that. And now that we have softball starting up, which I love, I'm thankful that our kids get to get outside and get exercise. That's wonderful, but already we can see how it falling back into that pattern of schedule. Yeah, busyness, the schedule and the schedule and the schedule. So part of that's a little hard to let go of, is that freedom we had for a little bit, but yeah. So hopefully we'll just be more mindful and try to do that more often, so.
I'm also taking a daughter out of it. Like, I went into this COVID with 2 kids and now I have 3.
That's right.
Most families, it's gonna be 9 months from COVID.
I mean, that's true.
Edit that out, please.
No.
You know that doesn't happen, right?
Well, it's either that or the opposite. Because Stephen and I both have said that there's either going to be a ton of babies, or people were so sick of each other, they were stuck in their houses and they hate each other and they are not going to have babies. So
Oh, so a lot more marriage counseling for me. That's
Yes.
going to be
Yes.
you're welcome.
Call the church.
one or the
set
other.
it up.
More baptisms, more marriage counseling.
Right?
Either event. We're working some extra. That's going to be great.
Come next spring when you're just baptizing a baby every Sunday,
know.
and then you know, that'll probably come after though, the marriage counseling. I was
Right.
Marriage counseling would be more
Right.
this
Right.
fall. It's
Yeah.
gonna be the fall
Yeah.
thing to
Yeah.
do.
That is true.
And then it's gonna create more children down the line.
Yeah. We're old-fashioned Lutheran evangelism.
Really
Produce
just
more.
helping the church, I mean.
Church growth movement. Negative 1.0. So,
And there's that.
as you ladies mentioned, you've heard some from family, other visitor, watchers, viewers, I'm trying to remember the right word there, viewers from other places. What's been the most surprised viewer comment you've received?
So I have a teacher friend that I work with at school. She watches every week, and because I had mentioned the trees that were in my lawn outside because Stephen was cutting down those
Right.
trees, the night that it aired, she texted me and she was like, I can send my husband over tomorrow with
Aw.
the trailer and clear out all those. And
Oh,
they
that's so
did.
sweet.
That was like the best thing ever. So
That-
thank you, Lynn.
That's
So,
pretty cool.
yeah.
Especially when you don't have a truck, like
I know-
it's hard
well,
to know what to do with it.
Yeah, it was a mess. Plus, I was still pregnant at the time,
Yes.
so it was like, I'm not gonna pick out all those things up.
That is really cool.
So that was nice.
Jessica's dad wanted me to see a video based off something I talked about. And that is winning right there. When someone says, hey, this reminded me of something you
Yes.
said once.
So
It's like when
Mom,
a
if you
kid
can
comes in
find
and
that.
says, hey, I read this and it reminded me of what we
Right.
talked about. Like, you listened. I don't actually hug them, I hand hug them because I don't want to share the same air.
Right.
It's funny because that was gonna be mine. The fact that like my dad is like wanting to send stuff to my co-host, and I'm like, wow, that's so funny. But it's kind of neat in a way because normally our
Right.
lives don't. I mean, we intersect through phone
Right.
calls and visits, but on a weekly basis, very rarely. So.
And my mother-in-law would always say, I just love listening to Jessica.
Oh.
Like all the
My
time.
mom
and I'm like,
also loved you,
"Thanks."
Jessica. She had some
Well,
great
thank you.
feedback.
You have some new mothers. That's nice.
I got to meet Robin, right?
Yes.
Robin. Yes, this weekend.
Yeah.
We're hiding Sandy. She's over in Michigan, you can't do anything there.
She can't get out.
They can't leave.
I have to say, I am so excited to meet your parents. After this, I haven't met them yet, and I'm like,
You guys don't know all the stories that Cassie has shared about her family, so
But I love-
priceless.
The Kardashians would not have been famous if we would have had a reality show. It would have been Keeping Up with the Irwins, and everyone would have been like, I'm such a Cassie, not a Kim.
She speaks so highly of you. She really, really does. I was really impressed throughout all of this how highly you always spoke of your family.
I do love them. They're just weird.
And how highly you would speak of Nate. I always thought that was really cute. You'd always put in how awesome he is when he's going with you on
Although
just
Steven,
following your
Steven
things.
felt like he was like the trophy husband. We didn't talk about you two good enough for the fact. I mean, I was like,
Attaboy,
whatever.
Nate. It's not her to lose, it's her win.
So
It's
fun.
only because we've been married longer.
We also don't have children.
That's true. So maybe
We
that's
just have
why.
Clue.
Who I saw in the window the other day. And
Oh,
I went
yeah.
by, I was like,
Greeting
"Aw."
people.
It was so
Aw.
sweet. So, yeah, I always thought that was I always enjoyed that every time that you would praise him or, just how you would talk about your parents and everything. So that was good.
Good job, guys.
So yeah, so now, of course,
Right.
very excited. So I'm
Well-
glad I got to meet your mother-in-law. And I've met your mom before, so.
The Irwin should be coming, I think. Should be big. I'll let you guys know. A lot of people want to meet Ted. They just don't believe me.
This poor guy. Talk about the celebrity effect. This poor guy will be like, hi, how are you?
What up?
We know so much about you. You have no clue who we are, but we
He'll
don't.
just take it in.
Hey, Cass, who's that? That is. Gotcha.
Before I ask my last question, do you have any shout outs? I know it's one of those things you do every.
I have a shout out. I would like to shout out to the Battle Creek Public Library. Jessica's crushed it.
Yeah.
She has gotten books to children who
It's true.
wouldn't be able to read. She has done it with all the different things, and she shouts out to someone every week.
know.
When in reality, the true hero of all readers is Jessica.
And
She's
you've
got
the
books
summer
going,
reading program going.
the summer
and
reading
everything.
program, all
Like you had to
these things.
readjust it all too.
There were a lot of things going on, and you handled it with poise.
I'm good at taking praise, so well, thank you very much.
It's okay. It's always awkward when people talk about you and you're sitting there. It's better when it's behind your back.
I've done that for a while, so yes, I know, I've talked to you guys. My shout out is just, we jokingly like to talk about them, but the man up, our husbands, we are thankful for, you guys and letting us have time. I know that takes you away from maybe mowing or whatever else.
I just always
Laying
loved
grass
it.
the one time.
I just always loved when, like, Steven would come out and he'd be like, I gotta go. Like, he has his beer ready. I gotta go.
Nate's like putting in his bike. He's like, we're good. Oh, boy.
So we're thankful for
We are thankful for you guys.
what you guys have done to give us, and then also you guys putting out your stuff too. And
I will say last week, I haven't watched this week's episode yet, but last week's episode where you literally were like, we're stuck. We have nothing. We don't know what to talk about. That was like my favorite. I mean, up to this point, there were some really good moments and stuff in your episodes, but that episode was just like, I was just laughing and Steven was like, he walks in, he's like, what are you doing? And I go, I'm watching your episode. It's hilarious.
Well, I think it's been super cool to watch like my husband go through it, because my husband's not someone who's a church leader in that way. And so I'll never forget his first episode. He's like, why'd they invite me? And I'm like, I don't know. He's like, I don't have any theology classes. And I'm like, it's okay. Let's talk about it. He's like, no, I think I'm just gonna go off the cuff for this. I'm like, oh boy. And it's funny because he came back and like every week now it's like, what'd you talk about? Well, we talked about this, and I said this. I'm like, that was a good answer, Nate. And like, just to watch that experience too for him, I think it's been pretty awesome for him to just be part of that. And I'm proud of him for, like, that was a
Right.
huge step, like, talking to people and about Jesus. That was a
I
big
think
step.
one of the other Man Up Monday episodes was when Steven messed up for the church service, and the whole, like, he was sitting in the back on the lawnmower, like, not talking at all. Like, you could tell that he was just like it was funny.
We won't talk about what's happening at
Yeah,
the Fouts House that morning. In those episodes aired. Episodes, worship services. Never mind.
I think I'll do a shout out to Pastor because, I mean, with all the stuff that's been going on and trying to get everything, ready for the church reopening, but also just keeping the church alive through all this, especially with like the Bible study that happens on Thursday nights. I just appreciated like coming in, even though like half the time Stephen and I would like join Bible study, half the time we would have it on mute or no video because we were either trying to get our kids corralled or cooking dinner, and then we'd come in and we'd be eating dinner while the Bible study's going on. But just having all those different outlets to try to stay connected with the church, I appreciated that. So.
We've done a lot for the ministry during this time.
Well, thank you for the shout out.
No problem.
Appreciate it. I don't take praise any better than Jessica does. So,
This is what it's like when we're not prepared for our interview questions.
hey,
Everyone uncomfortable.
I just see every week there's usually a shout out to somebody. I thought I'd give you a chance
Thank you.
so
I
that,
appreciate it.
nobody got neglected. I wasn't fishing for a compliment, but I'll take it anyway.
It was
Thank
a
you.
genuine compliment.
Thank you.
So.
Thank you. So the last question, first before we get to the question, and this is on behalf of our viewers, thank you, ladies, for 12 episodes of your life.
Basically a whole season on Netflix. It'll be trending soon.
So, thank you for being vulnerable. Thank you for being you, being willing to accept this challenge from our congregation's pastor. Thank you for
It was fun.
filming
Being
our
part of something cool.
every week. It's been something cool. We heard that possibly there's going to be the Meet the Irwin Family spinoff. But other than that,
up with the
what's
Irwins.
next? What's next up for season 2 or the next season, if you will, of Ladies' Night?
Besides the mashup of man night Monday and
Yes.
ladies night.
Which is
that
gonna be
has to
such a
happen.
good
That would
matchup.
be
It's going to
perfect.
happen.
Perfect for July, I think that would be
Yeah,
excellent.
just
I think
like
that would just be.
Middle of the summer, you know,
Yeah.
because there's some of us that have
We
some
can like
travel
have someone
plans
like
coming up, so-
barbecuing.
Yeah.
Yeah, and have like a barbecue and hang out.
Have all of our kids running around in the background. Right?
I'll bring the dogs. Go, Clue, get 'em.
My kids love your dogs, so that would be perfect.
I'll have to check with the Man Up agent to make sure that they can arrange that with your agent.
See, it's so funny because we all know they're gonna do it. Like
They're gonna do it.
they don't
We're
have,
going to.
I
do
think
it.
I
They
can
don't
get
get
Nate
to
to do
do-
this for me.
they don't get to say no to this.
My mom is now expecting it, so too late.
The pressure of the mother-in-law and
I know.
Stephen will definitely drive it home.
What else? We talked about
Monthly,
monthly ladies' nights.
maybe some guest speakers.
Right.
Yeah, kind of doing a monthly thing, and then hopefully, you know, one of the things we've missed is, while it's been great, it's just been the three of us, but because we can't be real close to each other, we didn't really have the spot to have other people come in, but we know all of you have had your own stories, have gone through your own things, and there's just so many wonderful women in our congregation. And so we want to bring some of you guys in, and so if you get a phone call, please say yes. And
It'll be cool.
It's really cool.
It's because we're cool.
And if you say no to one of us, the next person will
Oh,
call
you're
you.
right.
And we're gonna hope that we don't have to talk about COVID-19
Right.
like anymore, hopefully.
Ever.
So,
I'm sure. I mean, well, there'll still be some restrictions
Yes.
for a while now,
I
but
know.
hopefully,
so yeah, so
Get past
hopefully July we'll do our little mashup.
We'll have our
Thing.
people call your people.
it's happening.
And then we'll see in August kind of when it's gonna work out well. I know with school starting and stuff, I know that can be hard.
Start a school.
It's
It's
fine.
nothing. I've done it a couple times now. I got this.
We'll be fine.
As long as I have a cute outfit for the first day, anything can go.
So yeah, hopefully we'll be able to do it on a monthly basis, and yeah, you'll see us add 12 more episodes maybe.
for the second season.
Well, one a month for a year would be 12
I
episodes.
know, that's what I was thinking there.
I did math.
Good job.
Have an anniversary episode of like, this was when we first
Oh.
started. See, we're planning for the future. It's gonna be big.
The season 2 wheels are already spinning. Our showrunners are preparing their
The
plans.
mashup's gonna be so good.
Any concluding thoughts, ladies, from season 1? Your last words of season 1. Now's your chance.
Thank
Just
you
really
for
wanna
watching us.
say thank you.
You're right.
Thank you to you two for doing this. I know, you know,
Problem.
it's just been a blessing, and I hope, you know, one thing, like you said, going back, and I hope in a year I can go back and watch it without critiquing, you know, being overcritical of myself. But I think you had said maybe at the very beginning that Heidi had said
Yeah.
how awesome it is that you have basically a photo diary of kind of what you went through, and I just think, wow.
Yeah.
So now I just have to figure out how I can
Yeah.
make sure it lasts for a long time. You know, I don't know. Do
Yeah.
you put it on a memory stick? I don't know, but
No. Put it in the cloud.
put it in the cloud.
When I'm old, and I can look back and go, oh, look, no wrinkles. Remember that year I limped? I talked about that a lot.
But yeah, that is
Yeah.
nice that we have kind of those memories to look back on and say, okay, well, what did we do during that
Yes, yeah.
time? So,
Little Marion,
yeah,
and she'll be big. Oh,
you know,
it's hard to think about. But yeah.
she's already big.
When her 5th grade teacher says, write a report about COVID-19, she'll be like,
My first
here, I've got the season on
Yeah.
DVD.
Also,
You're right.
there's like
My
video
project
feed
is
pops up, I'll be
complete.
like, where'd you get that? And then someone will be like, is that you, Mrs. Bender? I'll be like, yes, it's me. Of course, it looks exactly the same.
So yeah. So thank you for letting us come into your
Right.
your I don't know where you were at watching us.
Living room,
Yeah.
bedroom, bathroom.
Kitchen.
but wherever. Yeah.
Did you watch in the shower, maybe?
Right. We're here. Thank you for letting us come in and just be a part of your lives during this time, and thanks for listening to us. I know sometimes we got really long, sometimes we were somewhat short.
That's why YouTube has the double speed option.
Occasionally they sound like chipmunks. It's okay.
So, yeah.
Okay, I think that wraps up this episode, this season of Ladies Night. Well done, ladies.
It only took us a half an hour.
Let the tears begin to flow.
It's like when I cried when The Office ended. It's a hard day. Gilmore Girls, I cried for that one too. One
I
for
have
you.
got to watch this show.
Oh my gosh, yes you do.
You'll enjoy it.
I love it. And then think, did Lorelai Gilmore raise Cassie Irwin? Chances are high. Yes.
Okay, usually at this point in time, Cassie makes a funny face and a wave, and they all say goodbye, and
Bye.
I think that's a wrap.